What's up guys, my name is Minnow and I'm back to bring you the best bang for your basketball bets in the NBA edition of the Casual Fan Podcast, the hardest working, most accurate, most entertaining sports gambling podcast on YouTube. But before we start, be sure to like and subscribe to the Casual Fan Podcast. And if you want to thank or berate me on my picks, be sure to follow me on my personal page at popsculture on Instagram or at Minnow on Twitter. With that said, let's get into my first picks for Saturday. On Saturday, we got the Spurs and the Bucks. This will be an interesting matchup as the Spurs have won their last 3 games in a row despite having their best player, DeMar DeRozan, in and out of the lineup due to some personal issues. The Bucks have been pretty hot, edging out the 76ers in an OT thriller win on Wednesday, and they haven't lost a game since returning from the All-Star break. Giannis has been on an absolute tear in the last 4 games, shooting a whopping 62% from the field, whilst averaging 30 points to go along with an average of 9 assists in those 4 games. So not only has he been great, but his team has been playing well too, making their shots and playing solid defense. Speaking of defense, PJ Tucker also got his wish last week after requesting to leave the horrendously bad Houston Rockets. Tucker has now landed in Milwaukee and is expected to make his debut tonight. Spread is a little bit too high for my liking on a Bucks pick, so taking the Spurs to cover at +10 is a good option. Or you could take the Bucks in a moneyline parlay with a team like the 76ers tonight, or even a hockey team like the Pittsburgh Penguins, who've known to be a surefire lock. Now let's move on to the next teams in the league. We got the Hawks at the Lakers. These are 2 of the hottest teams in the league right now. The Hawks have won 7 straight since the firing of head coach Lloyd Pierce, who's now been replaced by veteran Nate McMillan. Also, on the other hand, we have the Lakers, who've won their last 4 meetings. Most of those teams have been mid to low tier opponents, but it's still a good run for the Lakers, who were previously struggling with the injury of Anthony Davis and previously Dennis Schroeder. My gut absolutely screams to stay away from this game, but y'all know me, I'm a betting man, so I'm gonna give you guys the secret value pick here instead. I'm not too worried about the money line or the spread. Instead, I'd go with the over, which is set at 223.5, meaning both those teams would just have to score around 112 points each for you to hit this bet. These are 2 high-scoring teams, and for each of them to hit 112, that should be easy money right there. With that said, let's move into Sunday's pick. First up, we got the Raptors at the Cavs. Once again, the Raptors are coming off a loss in which 1 basket would have made the difference. At this point, I'm honestly convinced that Adam Silver has rigged the rims whenever Pascal Siakam goes for a game-winning shot. Like, what does this man have to do to buy a bucket? Whenever the game winner does come though, I know I'll be celebrating probably like we just won the championship. Like Tupac said, keep your head up, Pascal. Also, can I touch on We the North real quick? I know it's hard for a lot of you new fans who've only been around for 50+ wins in the season and consecutive playoff appearances to stomach that the Raptors have lost 7 straight in a row. But this organization has been a lot worse than this. Just ask Hedo Turkoglu. Still got promising young players on their roster, a great coach, and a front office that's leagues above most. What more can you ask for? Even with those losses, they kept most of these games relatively close, and there's still a possibility for them to make it into the playoffs as a lower seed and give one of the higher seeds some trouble in the first round. Norm is still on fire, shooting 50% in his last outing, and he had a career-high 43 points against the Pistons. The Cavs even offered Drummond for Powell recently, which is a terrible trade, so I'm super happy that the Raptors didn't take it. But it's clear that he has some kind of value right now, and it's only getting higher as the games go by. On the Cavs front, the Cavs have lost 5 of their last 6, and they're still one of the worst teams in the league. So with the Raptors having a full squad, hungry to get back into the win column, the Raptors are an easy pick here. I would personally take them in a moneyline parlay with the Suns, or you could just go straight up with the money line for the Raptors. The odds would still be pretty good there. And for our last matchup on Sunday, we got the Magic at the Celtics. The Celtics have been one of the most inconsistent teams in the league this year. After beating the Rockets last weekend, they've lost 3 in a row, losing to the Jazz, the lowly Cavs, and the Sacramento Kings. For a team with so much young talent, to be this inconsistent is embarrassing. It kind of reminds me of the Leafs a little bit. Sorry, I had to say it, like, them's is just the facts, but for whatever reason, they just can't get over the hump. The Celtics kind of look very similar in that regard. It's hard to keep betting with them. I wouldn't mind if they lost to a higher ranked team, but the losses to the Cavs and the Kings are just appalling, and it doesn't really make sense how they could lose to those teams, especially when they're not playing in back-to-back nights in those games. Lucky for them, the Magic are also an inconsistent squad. They just recently beat the Brooklyn Nets on Friday night, but they dropped 9 straight games before that. Normally I wouldn't touch this game with a 50-foot pole. There's just way too much inconsistency here. But y'all know me, I'm a betting man. So here's where the money lies. I would go with the under in this game. A lot of teams don't get up for these 3:30 matinee matchups, and the Celtics have been notoriously known for that. If this game is set at anything from 226 to 235, I would definitely go with the under there. And those are my picks for this weekend. So to recap, my choice on Saturday would be the Spurs to cover at +10, or the Bucks in a money line in a parlay with the 76ers. And on the other game, the Hawks at the Lakers, definitely take the over there. And then on Sunday, the Raptors money line in a parlay with the Suns, or you can go over to the hockey side, get a little value pick with the Pittsburgh Penguins. And then the Celtics and Magic, definitely take the under if it's set at anything from 226 to 235. Easy money right there. So that'll do it for this weekend's NBA edition of the Casual Fan Podcast. Thank you to everyone who's watched, liked, and subscribed to The Casual Fan. Be sure to follow us on all social medias. Once again, you can find me at popsculture on Instagram or at Minnow on Twitter. Happy betting, and I'll see you guys in the next one.